Now, you're not familiar with this one at all, are you? So it's basically a big green fellow with a dog who is particularly anti-Christmas and effectively wants to steal Christmas and spoil it for every single other person they within
mean.
earshot. Particularly mean, yes. And I think we all know somebody, we probably all have somebody that we know is not the biggest fan of Christmas, whether you want to call them a Scrooge, whether you want to call them a Grinch. I think it depends on whether you're English or an American.
Mood
but
Hoover.
Ultimately, sorry?
Mood Hoover.
Mood Hoover, that's right. So it's how we handle those people that don't really want to be part of Christmas, and how potentially we can change that desire to spoil Christmas if we are an actual Grinch or a Scrooge. And I think change is a big thing, isn't it? And I think this time of year in general makes us feel about and think about change. We've got New Year's Eve, which is my particular hatred. I'm not a Christmas Grinch. I am a New Year's Eve Grinch. I cannot abide New Year's Eve. And it's because I want everything to change as of the 1st of January. And ultimately it doesn't. It's a horrible period of time throughout January where you get this hangover from Christmas and the hangover from all the money that you've spent and all the calories you've consumed and just everything else. And I am a horrific New Year's Eve Grinch. But I put that down to the fact that I want things to change immediately, quickly. I want everything. I want spring to come. I want the daffodils to pop out and the snowdrops, and it doesn't. And I really struggle with that. And which is a strange thing to say for a coach, I really struggle with setting goals at this time of year as well.
My view is why set goals this time of year? Because it's just a load of pressure, isn't it? Everybody, I mean, what do they say the stats are? The numbers joining gyms in January skyrocket, and by the end of February they shot back down again because people can't keep it up.
And not only that, but how many of us don't cancel our gym membership in February and we wait until June because we're too ashamed of the fact that we haven't hit our goals within the space of 4 weeks. What was I saying? So what can we do to help us keep on track with our goals?
I think setting realistic goals. It's the all or nothing is where people fall down. So it's like, oh, I must lose 3 stone by February or something. And you're like, okay, and I'm going to run 4 times a week, or I'm going to do this every day or something. And it's just unsustainable. I think there's thinking about things as much more long term and tweaking things in your life little by little. I think that's more important than trying to go all completely gung ho, because it's a bit like when people die. I don't believe in diets, and when people go on diets and then they lose a load of weight and then they go back to eating how they've always eaten, and then they put it all back on again, and then they go back on a diet, and it's just a never-ending cycle. Whereas if you think, okay, I'm going to cut out bread, I'm not going to have anything bread related, or pasta, let's say, and then just get used to that after a month or so. And then another thing, okay, I'm going to cut out snacks, I'm not going to have snacks, but even that might be too much. 100% no snacks. Well, you could have a bit of chocolate as a treat on a Sunday. I just think when people go completely 100% need to get rid, it just makes it into a bigger hurdle than it needs to be.
I think the other aspect is, and certainly as a coach, you find this, is that people will set themselves a goal without considering, actually, is that an appropriate goal? Is that a realistic goal? We talk about reality, and there is, what's your reality? Because ultimately you can say, I want to do this or I want to do that, but it's the how will you do that, and how committed are you to that, and ultimately what does that change look like in the time frame that you want to get to. So for example, if you say that you want to lose weight, sure, absolutely, but what's your realistic target for that? And what are the changes that you're going to sustain in order to not just reach that goal, but continue to maintain that goal is key as well, isn't it?
I think that's it. So some people use the GROW model when they're coaching. Others use the growth model. And so you've got the usual goal, options, actions, will, but then you've got tactics and habits. So what are you actually going to do? And how will you make this a habit? How will you sustain this progress? How will this become part of your life? Who are you going to help you do this? What are your barriers and how are you going to overcome them? I mean, at the end of the day, you might like running, but you don't like doing it alone. So who can you grab to run with you? Not grab, but you know what I mean. Grab any old.
I do. Yeah, and you might not be that they might not be that they run with you, but it might be that they hold you to account. And again, it comes back to that point that you mentioned, that there's the GROW model, which we can help users as a coach, the goals, the reality, the options, and the will, effectively what actions we'll take. But that T and H, I think it's really important that you flagged up there, the tactics and the habits, and how important that is to maintain progress.
And I think
that's cool.
And I think rather than change everything at once, it's starting to change little things, because it's the little things that make a big difference. So if you have got used to eating snacks in front of the telly every night, then it's thinking about, actually, do you need to do that? And if you just cut that out, maybe even 3 times a week, you may find that the following week you realize you've just got into a habit of eating at that time and you don't really need it. So over time you end up getting rid of the snacks, and that will have an impact on your health.
So it's not just having that overarching goal or outcome that you want, but it's actually being able to identify small short-term goals that will initiate change, but not necessarily have that overarching outcome immediately.